Some bridge work. You just better shut up.
Simply means that I enjoyed your girlfriend.
Wait, I'm recycling glass bottles. I want this.
With its memorable characters and witty banter, Cheers is more than just a show. It's an institution that revolutionized sitcoms. The lively world of the Boston bar, where everyone knows your name, captured the attention of viewers as soon as the theme song began. But what if you learned that the cherished series almost failed because of one infamous scene? Come explore the famous scene that took Cheers off the air with us. A bar in the middle of the desert, perhaps. It is difficult to imagine, isn't it? At first, the makers of Cheers thought about putting their popular program in a small town, or even in the desert. Instead of greeting customers in a quaint Boston pub, can you picture Sam Malone pouring drinks in the scorching sun? Fortunately, the genius of Boston as a backdrop emerged as they developed the idea. What could have been a dusty, desolate location was transformed into a hive of laughter and friendship thanks to the city's rich culture and lively atmosphere, which made it the ideal stage for the performance. A desert bar really sounds like an unexpected plot twist. It used to be typical for sitcoms to start the plot over at the beginning of each episode, giving viewers the same set of circumstances each week. Then came Cheers.
Which is exactly where we should be.
Hey, thanks for the perfecto, Sammy.
Which defied convention like a cocktail in one of its recognizable glasses. Character arcs that lasted for whole seasons were introduced in this show, which dared to develop longer, serialized narratives. At the time, it was revolutionary. How exciting it must have been to wait a whole week to find out if Sam and Diane would finally come clean about their feelings. By leaving seasons on cliffhangers, the show's creators took a risk that paid off. The audience was forced to watch the upcoming episode or risk becoming completely engrossed in the drama that was developing. It was undoubtedly a risky endeavor. If someone hadn't watched the first few episodes, they might have been left perplexed and wondering what in the world was going on. Nonetheless, the show's creators were aware that they were on to something unique, and this strategy is one of the things that sets Cheers apart in television history.
Hey, Rudes!
Look, I gotta talk to you a minute.
Hey, I knew you guys wouldn't let me down. What do you say? You ready to get back to work?
Oh, just slow down a second.
What?
The ability of Cheers to engage audiences was one of its secret ingredients. The sense of belonging was more important than the clever jokes or romantic triangles. For many viewers, the bar turned into a second home where everyone knew their name. The charm of the show resides in its ability to create a familiar yet thrilling atmosphere by fusing humor with real warmth. The cast of Cheers transported the audience back to that familiar small Boston bar during the 2023 Emmy Awards, which took place in January 2024, with Ted Danson, Kelsey Grammer, Rhea Perlman, John Ratzenberger, and George Wendt reuniting and reminiscing on a bar-themed set evoking Cheers' famous watering hole. It was a moment of nostalgia for a group that helped shape American television. As each member of the cast reverted to their on-screen personas, their camaraderie was evident. On and off screen, Ted Danson, who played the iconic role of former baseball player turned bartender Sam Malone, was the beating heart of Cheers. John Ratzenberger has described Danson as the calming influence that absorbs the angst, maintaining a fun and light-hearted atmosphere during Cheers' 11-season run. His impact is demonstrated by his Emmy record, which includes 2 wins for his role as Sam and 11 consecutive nominations. After Cheers, Danson's career took off. After hanging out at a fictional bar, he starred in 3 Men and a Baby with Tom Selleck and Steve Guttenberg. He then went on to have success with shows like Mr. Mayor, Becker, CSI, and The Good Place.
I was at this party with a bunch of strangers. Food was great, music was loud. All of a sudden, everybody in the place stopped.
Off-screen, Danson has 2 daughters from a previous marriage and has been blissfully married to actress Mary Steenburgen since 1995. The ultimate no-nonsense, man-hungry cocktail waitress, played by Rhea Perlman as the tough and hilarious Carla Tortelli, had more grit than most people could muster. Cheers was a career-defining moment for Perlman. "It was the best job in the world," she said. 10 Emmy nominations, 4 wins, and lots of laughs were the accolades that supported her. With parts in Ally McBeal, Hung, The Mindy Project, and even a touching cameo in the 2023 Barbie film, Perlman kept making waves after Cheers. Another fan favorite is her real-life romance with Danny DeVito, who she met on the set of Taxi and wed in a modest lunch break ceremony in 1982. Since then, they have been together, raising 3 kids and leaving their own mark on Hollywood. It's difficult to replicate the authenticity of John Ratzenberger's portrayal of Cliff Clavin, the mailman who loved trivia and seemed to know everything.
Department policy regarding the uniform, son, states in part, and I quote, "Uniform shirt shall be buttoned up to and..."
Whether or not others wanted to hear it. It's interesting to note that Ratzenberger pitched Cliff as the local expert during his audition by improvising the role. After receiving 2 Emmys, it's safe to say that the concept was successful. Ratzenberger gave Pixar his voice, which became iconic in a whole new way. It can be heard in every Pixar movie, from Toy Story to Cars. He has stated, "It's good luck for me," in reference to his Pixar run. In addition, Ratzenberger has appeared in numerous television programs, including Legit and 8 Simple Rules. He has been happily married to Julie Blichfeld since 2012. As famous as they come, George Wendt played Norm Peterson, the beer-loving accountant who considered the Cheers bar to be his own haven. Wendt's path to the position was unusual. Initially, he only had a small role in the pilot, saying the single word, beer. Through his Norm-isms, wisecracks and observations delivered with perfect deadpan, he managed to make Norm a beloved fan favorite. After receiving 6 Emmy nominations and countless giggles, Wendt went on to work on Saturday Night Live, The George Wendt Show.
Okay, we got some really funny stuff on the show tonight. My favorite sketch is this one about cowboy dancing.
And Broadway productions of Hairspray, Elf, and Art. His personal life is equally rich. He and his wife, Bernadette Burkett, another graduate of Second City, have 5 children together. Not to be overlooked is Kelsey Grammer. Grammer, as Dr. Fraser Crane, began as Diane's romantic interest before establishing himself as a mainstay at Cheers and beyond. He received 2 Emmy nominations for Cheers, but his spin-off Frasier, which earned him 10 Emmy nominations and 4 wins, was his real breakthrough. After the show ended, Grammer didn't simply abandon Frasier. He brought the character back to life with a new reboot on Paramount+, reminding viewers why they initially fell in love with Dr. Crane. He has tried his hand at everything from performing on Broadway and Finding Neverland
We live by the hook.
and La Cage aux Folles to voicing Sideshow Bob on The Simpsons, for which he also received an Emmy. With 4 marriages and 7 children, some of whom are now acting, Grammer's personal life is as extensive as his resume. The Emmy reunion served as a reminder of a bygone era of television when warmth, humor, and character-driven storytelling were central to each episode, in addition to being a celebration of awards and individual accomplishments. Everyone knew your name at Cheers, and judging by the atmosphere there, they always will. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. The theme song from Cheers is likely still playing in your head if you watched the show. From 1982 to 1993, millions of people watched Cheers every week, joining the regulars at the bar for drama, humor, and the kind of connections that somehow made TV screens feel like home. The show, which is set in the same named bar in Boston, created a community as well as characters. You weren't alone if you became enamored with the show. Following a difficult debut season, it swiftly rose to become one of NBC's top-rated sitcoms, opening the door for TV's must-see Thursday lineup. The charm and chemistry of characters who seemed genuine served as the foundation for Cheers. With the possible exception of his past relationship with Diane,
Well, we are being awfully childish about this. Let's leave it at this.
the clever, intelligent waitress with whom he had an intermittent relationship that established the will they or won't they cliché long before Friends or The Office attempted it, there was Sam Malone, the former baseball player with the charm to get him out of almost any situation. Then there were the memorable supporting cast members, Carla, the sardonic waitress who always had the ideal comeback, and Norm, whose arrival was always met with a chorus of "Norm" from his bar friends. Though there were many laughs, the magic of the show went beyond that. It addressed topics and feelings that were typically shunned by sitcoms at the time. Cheers had a depth that prevented it from being just another comedy because of the characters' struggles with issues like addiction, heartbreak, and financial difficulties. Cheers is the type of show you watch for the laughs, but remember for its content because of its unique blend of heart and humor. The environment itself played a significant role in what made Cheers work. The bar was more than just a setting. It was a character, a setting where romantic tensions simmered, friendships were put to the test, and secrets were revealed. There seemed to be a story in every nook and cranny of that warm, dark bar. The theme song was, in fact,
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries.
a place where people genuinely care about you and know your name has a certain power that has drawn millions of visitors each week. Our Cheers were more than just Cheers. Even though Cheers came to an end in 1993, its influence persisted. Following Kelsey Grammer's Dr. Frasier Crane, it served as the inspiration for the wildly popular spin-off Frasier, which enthralled viewers and occasionally even revived former Cheers characters. A permanent place in popular culture was also earned by Cheers, which received 28 Emmy Awards out of 117 nominations and was named one of the top 10 best-written TV shows of all time by the Writers Guild of America in 2013. The deteriorating health and eventual death of Nicholas Colasanto, who portrayed Coach, the adored, kind bartender, presented the writers of Cheers with a devastating challenge during the third season. Although Colasanto had been battling heart problems since the 1970s, his health had significantly deteriorated by the time he was filming season 3. His health issues were evident. He frequently felt physically exhausted during shoots, lost weight, and had breathing difficulties. Nevertheless, Colasanto, who was always committed to his role, kept showing up and giving it his all. Colasanto had to be admitted to the hospital in January 1985 due to fluid in his lungs after his condition worsened. Doctors advised against going back to work, despite his brief recovery. His co-stars could sense the bittersweet atmosphere.
A million years. But you know what might help? If you actually had physical relations with him.
But he had only come to the set to watch his friends film. I believe we were all in denial, recalled Shelley Long. He lost a lot of weight, but we were all happy he was there. He really wanted to be there, Rhea Perlman continued. He wished to avoid getting sick. It was difficult for him to breathe, and he was constantly in labor. His struggle to keep up with the show was evidently the only thing that could match his love for it. Colasanto died at home a few weeks later, on February 12, 1985. The cast and crew were devastated by his passing, but they also had to confront the difficult question of how they would cope with Coach's absence. Although there were still a number of Season 3 episodes to shoot, they had already shot the season finale, which coincidentally featured a number of Coach scenes that served as his unofficial farewell. A subtle nod to Coach's absence, the remaining episodes featured him away for a variety of reasons. As Season 4 got underway, the Cheers team realized they couldn't ignore Coach. The authors vowed to pay tribute to Coach and the man who portrayed him. It wouldn't have felt right to move him to a different town or to suggest that he had just left. Coach's loyalty was part of his charm, and the writers and audience saw him as someone who would never leave his bar family.
It's gonna be okay. Just talk about something that you know about and they don't. Say something like your apartment.
Therefore, they courageously chose to deal with his death head-on in Birth, Death, Love, and Rice, the season opener. In addition to honoring Coach's character, this episode debuted Woody Harrelson as Woody Boyd, a brand new character who would go on to win over many fans. The authors didn't try to make Woody exactly like Coach or replace him. Instead, they gave him a unique personality that helped him connect with both the actors and the audience. On the set, Colasanto's legacy persisted. As a memento of their friend, the cast kept a photo of Geronimo that he had hung in his dressing room. Coach's spirit continued to add to the bar's allure as Cheers continued its amazing run, a subdued presence that brought back memories of the show's modest, sincere beginnings. Why did the show end if it could continue without Coach? The idea of this cherished sitcom surviving past its 11th season sparks a lot of discussion. The truth, however, is somewhat more nuanced and depends on the crucial choice made by Ted Danson, who played the endearing bartender, Sam Malone. With his character serving up not only drinks but also a healthy dose of charm and humor, Danson had come to represent the show. The Cheers universe was rocked by his decision to quit after 11 successful seasons. Not only did he move on to new acting roles, but he also experienced a moment of self-awareness that is difficult for many actors to achieve. Anyone who has ever considered leaving something they love but realized they can't give it the passion it deserves will be able to relate to Danson's feeling that his heart wasn't in it anymore. At first, the show's creators thought about using a well-liked recurring character in place of Sam Malone. It was interesting to speculate on how that might turn out. Who would fill those shoes, Carla or Norm? Danson refused to accept it. The soul of Cheers lay on his shoulders, and he realized that attempting to recast Sam would be like attempting to make a cocktail without any spirits. It simply wouldn't work. Another character in this story was Woody Harrelson, who portrayed the charmingly innocent bartender Woody Boyd. Executives approached him about becoming the new bar owner after he had made 200 appearances, but he quickly brushed the notion aside. Harrelson was smart enough to see that Cheers would be lacking its soul without Danson's Sam. To be in that bar without Teddy? He asked, making it clear that he would not be entering the establishment without Danson. An actor who recognizes when a show lacks heart and isn't afraid to express it is incredibly refreshing. It was impossible to replace the chemistry Danson brought to the table. Sam Malone was more than just a bartender. He was the unifying factor for the bar and its diverse clientele. Whether he was giving advice or entertaining a guest, his effortless charm and sharp wit made every encounter feel genuine. His devotion to his friends and customers was evident to viewers, and it contributed to the popularity of his character. It's obvious that it wouldn't work if someone else tried to fill those shoes behind the bar. Sam had a unique relationship with characters like Woody, Diane, and Carla. Every relationship had its own cadence, a dance honed through years of improvisation and screenplay writing. Adding a new character would be like adding pineapple to a pizza. It wouldn't feel forced. Certain things simply aren't meant to be. Fans may have felt mixed emotions over Danson's decision to leave Cheers, but it may have prevented the series from ending with a whimper rather than a bang.
Sam, I could never live here.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Listen, hey, I got a surprise for you. Look, I took the picture down.
Without him, a 12th season might have run the risk of undermining the reputation of a once iconic program. Danson's departure was a perfect example of the adage that it's better to end a series on a high note, rather than drag it out until it loses its appeal. Even though the performance went on without Danson, the audience would have sighed collectively at any attempt to maintain the magic. Sam Malone's absence would be perceived as completing the picture with a missing puzzle piece. Are you interested in the current whereabouts of some of the Cheers cast members? Let's find out by taking a trip down memory lane.